My name is Miranda, and I just wanted to share my story with you. So basically, uh, growing up as a kid and as a teenager, I hated myself. I didn't like who I was. I had 6 brothers, no sisters growing up, and so I I didn't like who I was, as a girl. And I was always bigger than my brothers. They go through puberty later than us, so I was bigger than my brothers, taller, bigger, and didn't like who I was as a person. I moved a lot, and so I didn't have very many friends. I went from school to school to school, and so I got tired of making friends, and it was really hard to keep friends. And so by my senior year, or between my junior and senior year, I was just really alone. So much to the point where, I used to eat lunch with the teacher in the teacher's, classroom and watch the news. Like, that's not a high school life, and so I dealt with that, being alone, being very shy, being insecure, hating myself, and if you don't deal with that, eventually that can eat you up. And so, it came into my adult life and even into my Christian life. I got born again when I was 12 or 13, I forget, and I rededicated when I was 18, just because I wanted to make it a personal relationship. I didn't want it to be about me and my family going to church. I wanted to be me and God. And so, I got rededicated, and then, but again, if you don't renew your mind about who you are, it's going to stick with you. And so, as a Christian, even a young adult Christian woman, I still dealt with insecurity. I still dealt with not liking myself. I still dealt with comparing myself to, other, awesome Christian women, and I dealt with that for a long time. But until I began to see the word about who I was for myself, that's when things started to change. And so I actually went away to Bible college, and so for a year I was just being poured into, 5 days a week, three hours a day about who I was in Christ. And so once I started to see who I was in Christ and began to meditate on it for myself, then things started to change. And it wasn't like it was easy. There was times where I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel like people liked me. I didn't feel, if you just focus on the outside things, you can let those distract you. But I had to push past what I felt, and I had to let the word work in me. And so, despite having days where I would just be by myself, despite having days of just in a closet crying by myself, despite all of that, I knew what the word was, and I knew what the word said about me, that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that he has great plans for me, and I knew that stuff. And so I had to begin to apply that in my life. And so once I let the word work in me from the inside out, then things started to change, and other people began to see it. And for me, it wasn't a timeline of events. I didn't have anything that happened, this happened, that happened. For me, it was more of an accumulation of everything. I am renewed by faith.